Energy efficiency was a widely talked about concept even at the India Energy Week. In fact, energy efficiency services signed an MOU for promoting energy in Indonesia, Malaysia and Thailand. I caught up with Vishal Kapoor, the CEO of EESL, to find out more about the company's climate action plan and its contribution to India's electric vehicle revolution. I began by asking him about EESL's collaborations.
IMT-GT delegation coming from Malaysia and sign an MOU with us. Basically, the MOU deals with evoking synergies between India and Malaysia to scale up energy efficiency interventions in Malaysia. ESL has scaled up a lot of projects like street lighting, LED lamps, bulbs, fans, and what we look at is if we are able to evoke synergies under this MOU as we go forward. Even Malaysia, under the green city action plans that they have laid out, they'll be able to leverage our strengths. The collaboration can range from anything from project consultancy, our advice to them on e-mobility, or consultancy on projects, even procurements, and doing the projects as well.
So
that was one.
And there are many others.
Yes, I think, and the second one was with Etihad Energy in the evening, and that is again, Etihad Energy is again a great ESCO company, similar to what ESL is in India. So what we are trying to do is to evoke synergies between the two companies. They can leverage our strengths, we can leverage theirs, and collaborate, but because actually climate action is a joint effort.
You know, those clearly have been the buzzwords when you look around at IEW: strategize, collaborate, knowledge sharing. Do you think that really is what will help scale up? Because that's exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because climate action is something that cannot happen individually. You know, ESL is doing something. So the way ESL sees as we go forward, we know that with an 8 lakh crore market lying in wait of energy efficiency, even only in India, to meet our INDC commitments, I think ESL cannot do it alone. It has to be partnerships, it has to be collaborations. So the way I see it and the way ESL sees it, it's about just evoking partnerships, creating markets, creating partnerships with climate funds, and get the money out into the market, de-risk, create a pipeline of projects. So that is what lies. And even abroad also, like if Malaysia is able to take some things from India's learnings in the last 5 years as ESL has scaled up, I think that will be a real good thing. I mean, it's like, I mean, for ESL, more than a commercial opportunity, is more like a happiness that will come in the company, that yes, we were able to not only do it in India, but help other countries.
So EVs is a big thing clearly coming in for India. Bangalore, I mean, the kind of EV charging stations that we saw crossroad have been quite a bit, and you are the man who's been given the responsibility to increase that number there. What is the visibility going forward? What is the timeline? What is the number you're working with?
50,000 e-buses. That public e-mobility is the most important thing as of now. If we are able to push out electric buses in a big way, that will be the real game changer, because the more the visibility of electric mobility on the roads, and buses are huge, big, and once they move on the road, they carry with them some network effects and people get confidence. So 50,000 electric buses, out of which around 16,000 we have already bid out. And as we go forward, we are already working on the future tenders, aggregation of demand, and we're getting very encouraging responses. And I think every 2-3 months we should be coming out with something around 5,000 buses. And this right now, so far, we have only targeted the SUs, but then SU buses are only 150,000 out of an overall number of 18 lakh buses flying in the country, private sector and institutional. So those are also areas where we can kind of expand.
Okay, a lot of good news and a lot of good numbers to work with, and as you said, exciting times coming ahead. But what are the challenges? What do you think needs to be done within companies and with the governments too?
Yes, I think energy efficiency somehow is a difficult task. As opposed to renewables, which you can see there, a big wind farm or a big solar park, energy efficiency is more disaggregated. It lies in your home, it lies in my home, it lies in that MSME, it lies in that MSC. So this disaggregation makes it difficult, and the flow of finance is not that easy because of this disaggregation. What is required is basically an ecosystem which can tie up the finance, the pipeline of projects, the credit worthiness of the entities need to be seen, creation of an ESCO market. All this needs to be tied up. So that is something that we look at very with a close intent as we go forward, and this 8 lakh crore market can be done only if this ecosystem is ushered in, and that is we are going to imagine ESL.
And speaking of energy transition, Japan's Ryo Minami from the Agency for Natural Resources and Energy said that the country can bring good green technology to other Asian countries. He also spoke on how India and Japan are planning to collaborate on renewables. Almost everybody at India Energy Week believes that much of the incremental demand growth going forward will come from Asia. What do you see Japan contributing to that kind of a demand growth?
Okay. So I think that carbon neutrality is a big challenge for all countries, including Asian countries. So considering that Japan has a good technology such as hydrogen, ammonia, and energy efficiency. So Japan can make a good contribution to Asian countries with such good technologies.
There's a lot of conversation also around on how sustainability, ensuring that there are a positive supply chains and affordability being worked upon as well. What's your sense on that?
So I think that the good supply chain is essential for sustainable development of decarbonized world. So far, Japan has a good connection with India and other Asian countries, so we can make a good supply chain with such countries.
Mr. Minami, how would you look at the next 5 years? Because a lot of investments are being talked about right now, but on ground, what kind of implementations have you seen on the country?
So I think that the world is taking away from COVID. So business, including energy business, must be activated. So next 5 years is very important period for us to start decarbonization business. So Japanese financial company will make a good contribution to that.
There is, a lot of collaborations happening, a lot of strategies are being devised as well, and countries are coming up with more regulations and policies to ensure that there is a smoother energy transition. How is Japan looking at those policies there?
So the decarbonization is one of the top priority policy in Japan. So Japanese announced the green transformation strategy last year. So based on that strategy, the Japanese government will establish a new system and a new mechanism. Yes.
And it's not just about each country devising their policies. I mean, there's something called inter-countries as well. Do you think the other countries are doing as much, and is that as per your policies too?
So climate change is not a local matter, it's a global matter.
Yes.
So it is indeed that the global framework is necessary to solve this matter effectively. So I think that especially in Asia, economy is growing up rapidly. So Asia rule is expected a lot.
And when you look at renewables as well, there are just so many verticals there. You have battery making, EVs and solar. People are talking about hydrogen as well, various varieties on that too. And there's so much being talked, and it's ever evolving. The kind of investments we are making right now and the expectation that these also will evolve going forward, how is the visibility for the next 5 years, 10 years on that?
So battery is a very important part of EV. So I think the investment needs correct prediction. I think that investment should be more and more, but prediction is not so clear so far. So I think the more correct estimation should be made from the cooperation of many countries.
Between India and Japan, when it comes to energy, what are the conversations happening right now?
So I had many meetings with Indian government officials. So the Japanese side and Indian side are very positive to make a cooperation and have meetings. So I think through those meetings, we will start the initiative to start decarbonization.
All right, that's a mandate, of course, coming in from companies and countries as well. There was a lot of conversation between countries and India too. But with that, we'll go for a quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we get back, we'll get you more exclusives from the India Energy Week when we return.
Inverters.
Welcome back. You're watching Commodity Champions, and this year's India Energy Week saw global speakers discuss India's move towards diversifying its energy mix. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, the Director General of International Renewable Energy Agency, Francisco La Camara, said that he's impressed by India's sustainability strategy. He also believes India will reach its green targets on time. There is so much conversation about renewable energy at India Energy Week. What has been your sense, even as all countries have been putting an agenda and a timeline to reach net zero? Where do you see better implementations and better move coming in? There is so much conversation about renewable energy at India Energy Week. What has been your sense, even as all countries have been putting an agenda and a timeline to reach net zero? Where do you see better implementations and better move coming in?
If in oil and gas world there is this sense that we have to move for renewables, and I think that what India is doing is impressive. I have just had a bilateral with the minister, and I say that my assessment is that they will be able to reach their target before time. So the net zero 2070 or 500 gigawatts by 2030. So it's a very interesting venue, a very interesting possibility to listen for many experience.
Within renewables as well, there are various sectors and so many verticals here as well. And there is this conversation about where the better cost competitiveness lies too. So where do you see, or what vertical do you see working better than the other?
So naturally, realities could be different. But I really encourage not to think about the single technology, but to look at the world of renewables as having an holistic approach. For example, countries that have hydropower could be facilitating in putting together into the grid more renewables to ensure less instability. So where there is no hydropower, we have to look to hydrogen as storage. We have to look at batteries. So we have to look at different ways to make the system be balanced.
So while a lot of investment conversations and numbers have been thrown around, do you finally see that happen on ground as well? Have you seen those investments actually see implementation? Yeah,
but the energy transition is in place. There is no doubt. And this process is unstoppable. Just to look at the installed capacity of new, in 2021, 80% of new installed capacity come from renewables, so 4 to 5. And 3 years in a row that the cost of renewables as solar, onshore, offshore wind are decreasing to more than 2 digits. And the cost of electrolyzer is decreasing. So it's clear that we are moving in the right direction. But we are not moving at the scale and speed that is needed to be consistent with the achievement of Paris Agreement goals.
Would you say it's going to be costly, because we've seen raw material prices for everything that is required for green transition go higher? Would you say that the supply chain that we're looking at also is very concentrated within some geographies here? How do you look at the availability, sustainability and affordability?
So first of all, we are talking about the supply chain. One thing that is important is that developed world collaborate more with the developing world, because investing in Africa, in Southeast Asia, in the supply chain could be a way to decentralize also the supply chain. So provide for mineral and the mining. Naturally, in all periods, when there is an acceleration of demand, there is a friction to make the price rising. But in our point of view, this will be not a barrier. It's a matter of concern. With the right policy on mining, we need that the permitting procedure should be shorter. We have to ensure the respect of human rights, of the social aspect, and the environmental standards. So we need policy. We need also circular economy. We need technologies that may reduce the use of certain mineral. But so that is a matter of concern, but not a barrier for the speed up of the energy transition.
What would you say on how much is the visibility right now on the things that we are working? How would you look at the next 5 or 10 years in sense of renewables coming in?
So renewables will be there. And we don't talk about forecast, because forecast has demonstrated to be highly wrong. We talk about scenario, so what has to be done. And we know that if we want to stay in a path coherent with the achievement of the Paris Agreement goal, we have to triple the installed capacity of renewables every year. So going from 260 gigawatt to 800 gigawatt per year. So it's challenging. It needs really a big effort by everyone.
Would you also feel that the map, the geographical map that is, would start changing? Because until now, energy meant fossil fuels, and we knew these were the producers and these were the consumers. Now with renewables coming up, would you say that there's going to be a lot of shift around?
No doubt, no doubt. That's the reason we are going to a new energy system, more resilient, that may ensure more energy security because of more actors, but also we are going to a system that has the potential to reduce the existing inequalities in the world.
All right, that's the view coming in from Irina, that the existing inequalities clearly stand to change as we see more renewables coming into the market. The whole world has been facing an energy crisis due to Russia-Ukraine war. Some developing countries like Bangladesh, which is a net importer of energy, felt that they were priced out of the market when the prices rose significantly. I caught up with Tawfiq-e-Ilahi Chaudhry, advisor to the Bangladesh Prime Minister for Power, Energy and Mineral Resources Affairs. I began by asking him about Bangladesh, how they dealt with the energy crisis.
You know, this was a bolt from the blue, and we have been just through COVID and managed to get ourselves out. The economy was picking up, things looked good. And then came this black swan, the Ukraine war, which has, as you all know, turned the world upside down, and more so the energy market. We know we are basically importer of energy. We do produce some gas in the country, but we import coal and LNG. So the LNG price shot up, and we are actually literally priced out of the market. Europe took away all the products. So unfortunately what happened, although we have the full infrastructure to provide electricity to all the population, we ran short of primary fuel. And you know, our power plants were sitting idle. We couldn't buy the primary fuel. As you know, if something is 10% higher, it's okay. But it got to 10 times higher, you can't manage that. The developed countries were very insensitive to these issues because energy, you know, they're wealthy people, they can, you know, get money here and there and tide through the crisis. But for us, it became a big challenge, and we had to, the only choice we were left is to manage our energy business in ways that we provide full support to industry, to agriculture. These are two. And then cut our demands down as far as possible, which is not a very popular idea, you know. If there is power outage, shortage, there will be a lot of public resentment. But thank heaven, our Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is so popular. So when she makes a call that this is tough time, got to cut your coat, you can't waste energy. So I think the nation responded and very patiently responded. So hopefully we are out of the woods now. It looks that LNG price is a bit soft, although I was told that with China coming back into the market, it may go up again. So, we can't be choosers, we are at the end of.
A lot of energy conversation now happening in Asia with India Energy Week happening here. I mean, this is the second big event that's happening in Asia. Would you say that a lot of conversation is now coming towards this part of the world?
Yes, because this is the growth engine of the world, this part of the world. And for future, it has a long way to go. And the mature energy economies are basically, maturity brings, slow growth, anybody, whether it's a human being or anything. So with that slow growth, this part of the world where people have yet to have an affordable income, education, health, even including China, India obviously, and Bangladesh along with that, and other countries. This will be the engine of growth for the future, provided the world recognizes that. And I have an uncanny feeling that this redesigning of the world, many countries have not come to terms with it.
Sir, what is the point that you would make as a country to the India Energy Week here?
I would like to see more of technical collaboration and exchange, because each country has its own contextual problem. So we need to have knowledge to find out our solution of it. Like today I've been trying for last 10 years to develop stoves, a hybrid stove, which will use solar.
Solar cook pot
the one that was sold. I've been chasing this product for last 10 years. We made some progress. And this is the same conclusion we came, that it has to be a hybrid product. I've been chasing our scientists and said that, look, Mother Nature has given us such powerful source of energy, and you guys cannot harness that. It's a shame for human intellect. But good that I am trying to find out the details about it. So, and we need to have hybrid solutions in it. Because in India you have sun shining in Gujarat and the places. We don't have that much of solar radiation in our place. But if you can take some of this electricity to Bangladesh, we have time difference about 3 hours. So when we are dark, Gujarat is still, the sun shines. So if you can take this electricity through an efficient transmission line, then both countries can gain. So we have a lot of cooperation, as you know, with India. It's our biggest neighbor, most friendly country. I was in a very small way involved in the liberation war, and India stood by us. We shared blood together. So we are tied in a very special bond with this relation.
All right, it's going to be all about policies and inter-country relationships that will actually transform or shape on how the energy transition really happens in the world. But with that, that's all the time that we have on this edition of Commodity Champions. News continues on CNBC-TV18. Do stay tuned.